Hey there, this is Fred Posimo. I'm the host and producer of the Make Money and Have Fun show, where I'm sitting down every single week interviewing authors, speakers, coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, investors, millionaires, billionaires, you name it. We're going live every single week, and you don't want to miss an episode. And one of the ways that I'm able to put this show on is through what I use to produce this show, which is Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest and fastest way to make a podcast out there. Let me explain. First of all, Anchor is absolutely free. They don't charge you a dime for anything on Anchor. So it's absolutely free. There's also creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you. Check this out. This is so cool. It's one of my favorite things about Anchor. Anchor distributes your podcast to over half a dozen different places where podcasts can be listened to. So you might be listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever your podcast platform of choice is, Anchor can most likely distribute it there for you. And you can also make money from your podcast on Anchor with no minimum listenership. It's everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So if you haven't already, download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started. Once again, that's Anchor.fm, or download the app right on your phone. It's absolutely free, like we mentioned before. And if you want to start podcasting, if you have something to say, if you want to get started with your podcast, if you already have a podcast, this is the best and easiest and fastest option that I would recommend to anybody. Download the Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm. What's going on, everybody? Everybody out there in Facebook land, in YouTube land, wherever you are joining us from, welcome back to another episode of the Make Money and Have Fun show. As you can see, we got a little bit of a new studio going on here. I just actually moved across the country from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to now in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I got my logo over on the TV. I got all kinds of cool stuff going on. But what is the most fascinating for today is today's guest, Mr. Mitch Jaworski. So let's get into today's show.
My motto in life is make money and have fun. I'm on a mission to show everyone how to make money and have fun. I'm all about making money and having fun.
You know what's really fun? What's really fun is being able to stand and do this show. Every other time I did this show, I was at just a sitting desk, and I moved here to Minnesota. I'm like, I got to get myself a standing desk. I set it all up. I spent like weeks on it. Now it's prepared. It's ready to go. So I'm able to stand. I'm able to convey more energy, to give more to you, the listeners. But what's even cooler than all of that is being a scaredy cat. Being a scaredy cat in the investing world, in the money world, but still knowing what to do to overcome those fears, to overcome that scaredy cat mentality. And that is what Mr. Mitch Jaworski, today's guest, is here to talk to you about. So let's put a hand together for Mr. Mitch Jaworski. What's up, Mitch?
What's up, brother?
What's going on, my man? Dude, you're like playing with your background over there. You got
I've been messing with it, and I found my usual backgrounds, but then like the lens angle is all messed up, and I'm like, yes, me and StreamYard are friends. Not really.
Is that better? That's a little better.
There you go. Whatever. I'm sparkling. I'm high def.
Yeah, you're like glistening.
I'm glistening.
You're basically like just a hologram of yourself coming to us to impart knowledge and wisdom.
I am virtuosity.
I love it. So Mitch, dude, tell us about yourself, man. What's the kind of the brief overview of Mitch Jaworski? Who are you and what do you do?
Oh my goodness. Let's see if there's a short version of that. Well, the overarching label is investor.
Okay.
And, that spans from everything from stocks to real estate to cryptocurrency, and pretty much everything in between. So where the focus is ebbs and flows, but for the last, I don't know, 5-6 years now, it's been exclusively real estate and cryptocurrency.
Nice.
I have to remember to look at my stocks still once in a while.
So where did it start? Did it start with crypto? Did it start with real estate? Like how did you end up becoming an investor?
I fell in love with the stock market right kind of after high school. A coworker, I was working in a warehouse. A coworker gave me a book. I was like 19 years old. I was like supervisor. He gave me a book called Rolling Stocks, and it basically just talked about kind of trading stocks that were stuck in a sideways trend, and you just back and forth, support resistance. You just trade them back and forth, kind of like ping pong, and it just hit my personality. I was like, shit, this is me, like, because that is that slow and steady slap singles, like that's my jam. So like it was, I call it the right book at the right time, but sometimes I want to say the wrong book at the wrong time. So because that's when I fell in love with the stock market, and that's when basically I decided that I wanted to get a degree in like finance or economics or something like that. So that's when it all started.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
I still want to mess around with my background as we're talking.
Dude, go for it. I don't care. We just wing it here. Look at me. I'm wearing a red jacket. Like,
right. Red blazer on.
We don't take this show too seriously. There you go. You got a red brick background. All kinds of cool stuff.
I don't understand.
There you go.
No.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Now you're really glistening. But Mitch, what were you doing at the time? There you go.
Boom, winner. See,
bam,
on the fly, and that's definitely also my personality. For as risk averse as I am definitely just get it done on the fly type of guy.
Exactly. So am I. I mean, I don't know if you can tell by the red jacket and all the crazy stuff we got going on here. I'm just like, I just make money and have fun, man.
There you go, make money and have fun.
Exactly. So, dude, what were you doing at the time when this coworker gave you the book? Were you doing anything involving finance, or was this kind of just like a 9-to-5 job?
I graduated college. I graduated high school, and I started working full time, basically in a warehouse, picking and packing, and that's what I thought life was going to be: blue collar job, blue collar guy, blue collar personality, and no intentions of going to college. But, that book and my neighbor's dad, short conversation from him, kind of changed that whole direction. And I ended up taking one night class at a local college, and then that happened to be a good experience. It was the polar opposite of high school. I didn't really like high school. So college classes were a little different. So I enjoyed it. So then I started going full-time the next semester. And then at that point, any ideas of like becoming a teacher or something and majoring in history were out the window. I was like, all right, like I want to work on Wall Street. Like I want a finance degree, but
that's funny.
Those Ivy League schools are expensive. So it ended up being state school and an economics degree. So that's kind of the path, how I started down the rabbit hole of going, kind of economics investment mindset.
Sure. It's interesting because I feel like a lot of people will transition from the 9-to-5 world over to entrepreneurship because of a book. Like a lot of people come to real estate investing because of Rich Dad Poor Dad or something like that. So it's kind of cool. Like, do you still have that book, the Rolling Stocks book that your coworker?
You know what? I have to look. I want to say I do, but I'd have to go digging in the crates.
That's funny.
The funny part about that book is like now it's so remedial to me. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm sure I kept it out of nostalgia, but like to read that book now, I'm like, wow, this is some like really newbie starter stuff. So yeah, but I'm sure it's tucked away somewhere.
That's funny. Yeah, I feel the same way with reading Rich Dad Poor Dad now. I'm like, well, this is sort of what you're explaining, but what about all this, and this? And like, I'm just like adding all of the advanced work into the basic underground. So
yeah, 100%.
So how did it kind of evolve for you from just being in the stock market on Wall Street to growing into cryptocurrency and real estate? and all that other kind of stuff. What was the evolution like?
Yeah, I mean, so, I got that economics degree and I ended up with the, typical 9 to 5 cubicle job. And, didn't take very long to figure out that was not where I wanted to be. So I was always trading stocks and options on the side. I got lucky and I learned options pretty young. And so my first job out of college was actually with Morgan Stanley to be a financial advisor. And during that time, I was already trading options. So when we were studying for the Series 7 test, I actually taught the other 3 people that were like training with me. I taught them options because like the way they explained it in like that study guide, it was just confusing as hell. So I'm like, all right, screw this. It's like up on the whiteboard, like this is options. So yeah, so I was already trading options. I enjoyed it. So even after I left the Morgan Stanley job, which it's a whole nother story why I moved on from that. Epic historic events in New York City. But I landed in the corporate finance, more so like financial planning analysis type, job. And I was still trading options and stocks on the side, online, and did that for a while. And then what happened was I relocated down to Florida for another job and quickly realized, it's definitely the career I don't like. It's not the job in New York. So a year later, I left that and I started day trading full time. So that's when I went full blown investing, and I day traded full time at a prop firm on and off for like 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but it was a grind. Like full time equity trading. Like if you're in an office, the reality is 2% of the people in the office are making big money, and everyone else is either just getting by or straight losing money.
Right.
So I was one of the people that was just getting by. Which was, great. I'm making money trading stocks for a living, so a hell of a lot better than punching a clock. But it's a grind. It's an emotional, and I tell people all the time, like, you want to psychologically test yourself, go day trade full time for a hot minute. Like, it is psychological warfare. Like, learning the technical side is easy. The mental and emotional side is like, it will test you. But yeah, so did that, like I said, for about 5-6 years, and then finally it was just like burnt, and had an opportunity to do consulting work in the field that I had previously been in. Basically, just buddy that I used to work with hit me up. He's like, hey, so and so is going out on maternity leave. Someone needs to fill in for a few months. You want to come? I was like, I guess. I didn't even want to do it, to be honest with you, because I didn't want to go back to that work, but I did. And then that 3-month consulting gig turned into a 6-year consulting gig.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's when I started. What's up?
That's a big jump from 3 months to 6 years.
So it kept rolling in, but it was beautiful because honestly, I worked from home 5 out of those 6 years. So it was like, it wasn't the same as having a corporate job. I'm not in a cubicle. I have freedom. And that's when the real estate thing started because, my finances were in better shape at that point. So I would run out in the middle of the day and go look at a property,
Right.
Because
I did that at my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Guilty.
I did that for like 3 years. So that's how the real estate investing started. Because what happened was, I did the whole stock thing and I still had my stocks, I have an IRA and all that stuff. But I'm like, all right, I want stuff that produces passive income. Like, how do I create more passive income? So that's when I decided to go the real estate route because it just made sense. I'm like, all right, you own a property, you rent it out. So I knew nothing about it. I just knew that, my income should exceed my expenses. But, allocations for vacancy, maintenance, I knew none of that. I knew nothing about real estate investing when I jumped in. I just knew, revenue needs to outpace expenses. So, I actually, ironically, then I stumbled into a situation where my buddy's dad was looking for a place because the house he was renting was getting foreclosed on because his landlord stopped paying the mortgage. So I was like, if I find a 3-bedroom place for the same amount you're paying in rent, would you want to rent it from me? He's like, 100%. So that's literally how I stumbled into real estate investing. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So you kind of just like bootstrapped your way from the bottom, if you will, up, and kind of were just like, you know what, this seems like a good plan. Let me figure it out and kind of go and do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really cool. Because I did it the other way. I was like, I want to do this. Let me learn and educate myself and figure out, how it works. So like I went to like all the schooling and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, now I'm ready to kind of jump in and pull the trigger. But you're just like, oh, here's the deep end of the pool. I'm jumping in head first. Here I go.
I mean, to an extent, because I'm all about education also. I mean, even like learning how to trade options, I learned that from basically like a coaching company. Like I went to a couple of their seminars and learned, how they go about trading options and how to like understand options and all that. So, I did pay for those classes and, learn, how to trade, so to speak.
Right.
So yeah, the real estate. Yeah, I just did the listening to the podcast and reading up on articles myself. But as I got more involved in it, then I started getting more so educated. So yeah, that was kind of an aberration for me to be honest in terms of the way real estate played out. But I think it was because I had the full-time job at the time still.
Sure.
And just you only have so much bandwidth. So. But yeah, that's how the real estate thing started, and I did that until 2017. I was just slowly acquiring property, like old school, like putting 20% down, getting a mortgage, like one at a time. Like I was basically buying like one a year, nothing crazy. I think I bought two in the first year, and then I bought one, and then in 2017, the consulting gig pretty much ended, and my goal was to actually leave that type of work in 2018. So it was a year ahead of schedule. But once that was over, I was like, there's no way I'm going to apply for a job and going back to an office. Like I've been working from home for 5 years now. Like, no, like it's just not happening. So that's when I decided, I'm like, whether I'm ready or not, I'm ready. So
there you go.
Yeah. Full-time investor since July 2017.
There it is. So what I gotta bring this up. I had a guy recently on my show who did basically the same thing as you. He was this licensed and certified financial advisor and had all of the degrees and certifications and stuff like that. And he was talking about how limited you are in so many ways to kind of give people genuine financial knowledge or the best financial knowledge that you could give them at the time because of the parameters set by your company. So did you kind of like feel that same pressure when you were licensed and doing that whole thing, or how was that situation for you, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent. I mean, for me, ironically, it was more about the restrictions in terms of what I could do because like I wanted to trade. And like if you're working for a broker, like you have to report like everything. And I'm like, this is a pain in the butt. Like, but also, yeah, I mean, and things have gotten better now. The industry's changed. I mean, because at this point we're talking almost 20 years ago, which is amazing that much time has gone by. But
and you don't look a day over 25, so
I wish.
You were trading at 5 years old.
Exactly. I was in there, junior high. Let's go. No, but yeah, I mean, obviously, they have all their products and the things they want you to, I don't want to say push and sell, but yeah, like use their suite of products or whatever. So it does limit you to an extent. And the industry's changed now. Now you have people that are basically just, financial planners, AKA fiduciaries, and they're not, specific to any suite of products or any provider. They just essentially help people build out that financial plan, and they can invest that money in whichever resources, whichever providers they want to. So that's a big difference now. But yeah, you definitely feel handcuffed because you can't even you can't say a lot. Like you're not allowed to give opinions in terms of stuff. Like you can't jump on a podcast and say, hey, I think like Tesla stock is a buy. Like you'd straight get your license will get whacked.
Yeah.
So I like not having those restrictions. It's just me personally, especially. I don't feel good with having a lot of regulation. It's just like, let me do my thing. I'm not a dumbass, and I'm a functioning adult.
Exactly. So we got to bring up one more thing, which is your most current kind of venture. And actually, I got to highlight Michael Shine here. So Michael Shine is joining us from YouTube, and he actually wrote in the comments, the crypto cat is in the house.
Shine.
Thank you for joining us, Mike Shine. Speaking of Tesla stock, by the way, anybody else who's out there, if you guys want to write in the comments, you can write them as well. Ask us questions. We can bring them right up on screen. And that's the cool perks of this platform.
I find it very amusing that I say Tesla, and then all of a sudden Mike Shine magically appears.
Right?
It's like Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Exactly. Next thing you know, he might actually come backstage with us and just like
Right?
appear in person or virtual person, I guess.
Mike's
Something like
always
that.
welcome. Legend.
So we got to talk, Mitch, about crypto, right? So now you
Yeah,
have this whole scaredy cat guy. You're the crypto cat. How the hell did this come to be, man?
yeah, well, ironically, like it works out perfect because, like, in terms of the story I was telling you, like, literally, like, the next progression was about crypto because, like I said, when I left corporate in 2017, at that point, I'd been investing in real estate for 3 years, slow and steady. I had 4 properties, nothing crazy. And then I had already started investing in crypto. So I bought Bitcoin in August of 2016. That was 2 years after I originally looked at crypto. But yeah, so in 2016, I stumbled into crypto. In early spring 2017 is when I stumbled across a crypto social media site that I started blogging on. And I was earning crypto from blogging on it. So all this kind of happened right as the Tyco thing was, corporate job was, going to end. So that was another big piece of it. So when I went full-time investor, yeah, I was focusing on my real estate even more at that point, but also big time on crypto. And a lot of it was being involved in, like the social media related site where I would earn crypto for doing blog posts. And then that kind of extrapolated the investing I did across many cryptos. And I started jumping at all these different coins. And I rode the 2017, 2018 crypto bubble. And then I rode the vast majority of it all the way back down and suffered through the crypto winter. And they were all learning lessons. And that's why, like, even now with the move we've had, I tell people, I'm like, I'm going to start playing a little defense just in case. Right. Because I'm not going through 2018 again. And if I miss some upsides, then so be it, because I'm still set up anyway, But yeah, so I went down that rabbit hole. It started, 2016, which is buying some Bitcoin. And then really more so spring 2017 is when I stumbled into these communities and that social media site. And then when I say life-changing, like now it's normal to me to talk to people all over the world every single day because of crypto. Like I'm on, like, Discord is one of the big like chat services that is used, and especially in the crypto community. It's similar to like Slack or Telegram or whatever, but it's just the preferred one. And I'll be on Discord, and every day I'm talking to my crypto people, and like they're all over the world. Like it's been a mindset change for me. Like crypto really makes the world borderless.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm very well versed in real estate investing. I've done a little bit of stock options. I know a tiny bit about crypto, mostly from just conversations with you, and because you insisted on paying me in crypto. And so it's interesting just to look at how much diversity there is out there, and how much the financial world is changing, especially from like what you were talking about, with these things on Wall Street. Now we have like, robots, these AI robots that do trading for us with like Forex and all this different kinds of crazy stuff. So I want to know, what do you think, I guess, kind of is the future of currency or the future of money in this world?
It's funny because just like gold is still around, I think fiat paper currency is going to be around a lot longer than people expect, especially like the crypto heads. But we're definitely going digital. I mean, China's already, doing a pilot program with a digital currency, and at some point we're going to see a digital dollar or Fed coin or whatever they want to call it, right? So it's just a matter of time before digital becomes the norm. But I also don't think that means paper currency is going to be completely obsolete and gone like in the next 20, 30 years even, because you just have so many people that's their work, like that's their world, like, and usually it's a lot of like off the books business and things like that, which I find amusing because they talk about cryptocurrency and criminal activity. And I'm like, well, what do you think all the unreported cash is being used for? So it's amusing for sure. But yeah, the push is definitely going to be digital. But I don't think in the year 2050, we're going to be living in this digital only world. Like I still think you're going to have, precious metals around, and you're still going to have, paper currency around. It just might be, more of a secondary currency or whatever it is. But yeah, we're going digital because it's just the point now where like everyone's got a smartphone. Homeless people have smartphones. Like you go to third world countries and like they're literally living in a clay freaking, shack, but they all got smartphones.
Right.
It's insane. Like, so because of that, everything can go digital. And because of that, you're seeing, I think, a leveling too of power with all these countries, because now you have someone literally that has a cell phone that is living in a clay hut that can transact in crypto and do the same exact stuff that you and I can do in our little, cozy America.
Right. Exactly. It's making the world smaller and smaller, I feel like.
100% it is. I mean, I can send money to a friend in the UK now in the matter of seconds.
Yeah.
And I don't need an intermediary. I don't need to pay exorbitant fees. I don't need to get red flagged by the government. Like, it's wild. And here's, I just want to drive one last point home in regards to crypto. We don't realize how powerful it is and useful it is because it doesn't impact our lives. To us, it's like an investment, right?
Right.
But I live in South Florida. You got tons of people from Brazil, from Haiti, and they send money back home weekly. And they'll be literally at Walmart, doing the Western Union counter, getting just reamed on fees. There's limits on what you can send, right? Now you have cryptocurrency. And they can literally just send money, quote unquote, home with no problem from
insane.
From their house without paying crazy Western Union fees. Just the impact it has for those people is why I used to tell people crypto's not going anywhere. 2 years ago when people are this is I'm like, dude, it is not going anywhere. It solves a problem for people that you don't get it because we don't have that problem, but I see it. I've been to Walmart in South Florida. I've seen the guy doing 10 Western Union transactions. Why? Because I was waiting behind him trying to just buy a damn lotto ticket because I felt like gambling.
Oh, geez. No, I totally agree with you. I think the same thing, precious metals still being around today. I still see fiat money playing a role somewhere in the currency exchange market, but I also see, obviously, there's a surge in cryptocurrency as well right now. I'm not nearly as well versed as you are, and
generational change.
Exactly.
It takes generations. You know what I mean? So we need to get to the point where cryptocurrency is normal already for when someone's born, and then they grow up with that. So that's normal to them. We're not there yet. We're generations away still. You know what I mean? So that's what I tell people. I'm like, think about this. Take, a class of freshman high school kids, right? When these kids are 25 years old, right? Whatever that is, 10 years from now, right? And they're investing, right? They got some stocks and all that, and they want to diversify, right? You're are they buying gold or silver? No, they're going to buy Bitcoin. That's because that's what's normal to them now. It's just becoming normal, like Bitcoin, digital gold. They don't want a clunky piece of gold. No, these are digital kids growing up in a digital era. They don't want to deal with that. That's annoying. So that's just, the power of generational shifts and why I think cryptocurrency is going to continue to become more mainstream, because as the younger generations become the adults, they're going to bring it to be more and more normal, just like our parents were the ones that were all about buying silver, buying gold. And then, even my generation has kind of started the tail end of that. I don't find a lot of people in their 20s buying silver and gold unless they just, happen to have that bug. Some people do, but it's not the norm anymore for an alternative investment.
Sure.
So, it's you got to pay attention to what generations grow up with and what they're investing in, because that's what's going to be the next thing.
Exactly.
It's not what I'm buying, it's what the 21-year-old's buying.
Exactly. So speaking of gold and silver, do you invest in that at all? I used to buy silver bars, and do you kind of recommend it? What are your thoughts on?
I mean, if I have to dive behind my green screen into a closet to pull out some silver coins, I would. So yeah, I own some physical silver. I got some silver koalas because I'm partial to Australia. So I love Australia. So of course I bought the Australian koalas.
Cool.
But yeah, and then gold. I actually don't own any physical gold. I do own one of the miners, like the stock of one of the miners, and I own the junior miners ETF. So I hold gold miners in terms of exposure, in terms of gold, and then I own physical silver. So something I wanted to diversify, and this was, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. So I was already in crypto, but I was still, old school, like, oh, let me get, especially because I liked silver at the time because the gold to silver ratio was so out of whack.
Sure.
But I knew that silver was going to revert back to the mean at some point. It was kind of call it like pairs trading, when like a pair spreads apart so far, at some point it's going to come back together. So
yeah, I bought silver a year ago when it was at 15.
Yeah.
And I was just buying 10-ounce bars once a month and putting them in a safe. And then I sold it at 30 and made a profit. Like, what the heck?
I know. I should probably look into selling my coins and making money, but damn, those koalas, I love them.
Yeah, that's the only thing is it's actually cool. Like, I got 10-ounce bars.
Yeah.
And it's fun, having the bar. So once I sold it, I was kind of like, oh, I don't have any bars left.
I don't have a cool bar. I can't flash my bar on screen anymore.
Exactly. I got, and then the funny thing was I even bought copper just for a laugh, just because I was like, I bought it half price on eBay, and I'm like, I got copper now, so it's kind of cool. I just got copper sitting in my safe in the other room, but I like it. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to have, and it's fun to kind of use. And like you said, there's still intrinsic wealth inside of it. There's still value to it.
Yeah, and I don't think maybe at some point the value of these metals go down because less people care about or investing in it. I don't know, but also copper and gold are, and even silver. These are commodities that are also physically used. Like they're in, components. Like they're in cell phones. They're in cars. Like you're using these materials. Obviously copper with homes.
Yeah.
So that's what's good about them. This is why that's why they're they'll never go to zero. But maybe, do they pull back because the luster as an investment, fades over the next, multiple decades? Possibly, who knows? But, they're always going to be in existence. Just the simple fact that they're actually used. They're actually a product that we use for building things. So I think that gives it the staying power, as opposed to, paper currency, which I guess theoretically could go away at some point. I just don't think it's going to be any time in our lifetime. That's some shit that'll happen 100 years from now. People don't realize how long these the slow burn.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, so the crypto's pushing that direction, and that's an evolving industry. And it's just like real estate. The reason we love real estate is because you can turn it into an income generating asset.
Right.
So when most people think of crypto, they just think of straight speculation. They think it's no different than investing in high flying tech stocks.
Right.
Right. But the industry is evolving, and now you have places where you can stake your crypto, and there's mainstream ones that have custodians and all that, and you can get a low amount of interest by staking your Bitcoin or whatever. And then you have this whole new DeFi, decentralized finance industry, where you have these sites where you can provide liquidity, and you essentially make high yield off of trading fees and inflation and all that, which is technically risky because it's a brand new industry, but it's changing the landscape, because now you can turn crypto into an income generating asset, which is mind blowing and kind of life changing. So I've been lucky enough to be in the early stages of that, and I'm really curious what it looks like 2-3 years from now, because for crypto it's the equivalent of 2017 with the ICO craze, the initial coin offerings, where everyone and their brother was creating a coin and doing a token sale, and it didn't even matter if they actually had a blockchain that did anything, kind of like tech stocks in 1996. It's Pets.com, Globe.com.
I almost feel like it's like NFTs today.
Oh my God.
Where it's like I could rip out this page in my journal, take a picture of it, and sell it for $8,000 online, and people would buy it.
Have not gone down just because I agree. I look at it, I'm like, this is ridiculous. But it's all about something's worth what someone says it is. The value of something is what someone puts on it. So digital art makes no sense to me at all. But you know what? Neither does traditional art. I can't believe people pay $100,000 for some whatever Picasso painting, and I'm like, I look at it on the wall, and I'm like, all right, I get no enjoyment out of this. It looks old, and you paid how much for this? So like, I don't get it. So it's like, teach their own. So, why is, fine physical art worth all that money? Because someone put that value on it,
Right.
And I guess that's going to happen like with some of this NFT stuff. It's like, hey, I have this digital print, this digital, like token, so to speak, where like I'm the only one that has it. This is it. This digital copy, which I find ironic because I'm like, really? Like, it's a little bit different. Like, no one's painting that physical Picasso again,
Right.
outside of being a replica. So I'm like, with digitals, it's like, but
yeah,
yeah.
it gets hard. It's like buying a fake Rolex. You know what I mean? It's like it's the same kind of thing. I saw the other day. You'll love this. A friend of mine, one of my coaches, actually posted a link, like a link online that said an artist, a famous artist, sold an invisible painting to somebody for $18,000. It's invisible.
That's called people that just have way too much money or are just out of their minds. One or the other.
Yeah, it's either a psychopath or a ridiculously rich person.
Where 18 grand like is basically like $18 to them.
Yeah, pretty much. They're like, okay.
I mean, $20 or less, I'll throw $20 or less pretty much at anything retarded. I don't care. So I gotta be like them, where like $20 is more like 20 grand. It just feels like $20.
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, that's where we're all going.
Heck yeah.
So Mitch, I gotta ask you.
What's that?
I gotta ask you this question. So we talked about crypto, we talked about real estate, we talked about gold and silver, we talked about stocks, we talked about stock options. So if someone came to you brand new, completely cold, and they wanted to start investing, they had some money to invest, and they wanted to start investing, but they only wanted one vehicle to invest in, which vehicle do you think would be the best for them to get started in?
That's tough.
Right?
I mean, you know what it is? I don't believe in one size fits all answers.
Right.
Everyone's situation is different. Everyone's goal is different, right? But like, if we're just like going black and white version in a box, I'm going to say real estate still, just because of how many different ways it creates wealth. You know what I mean? Between just the rental income, the principal pay down from, the tenants paying the mortgage, essentially, using that rental income to pay the mortgage down, the tax benefits, and then on top of that, the potential appreciation. So, I mean, what other investment where you have four ways where you can essentially benefit from it? There really isn't one. Like stocks, you can't do it. It's either price goes up or you get dividends, right? Mm-hmm. Cryptocurrency, same thing. Price goes up, or essentially now you get, dividends, or you can create a yield, but you don't get you don't get the tax benefit. You don't get, that leverage. You're not using leverage essentially, and then having essentially someone else pay down that debt for you. So that's why real estate's still number one. I'm not going to say crypto won't overtake it someday, in my opinion. But yeah, if someone's starting out and they want to invest in something and it's only one vehicle, rental properties are the way to go. Long-term buy and hold, or I guess you could do Airbnb, but that ain't my jam. That sounds like a job.
Me neither.
I don't want jobs. I say it all the time. I'm ambitiously lazy.
Yep.
Let me work really hard up front and then sit back and do nothing and collect.
Exactly. It's funny because you're part of my mastermind, which is right over here, and we talk about that every week. Pretty much with you, you're talking about how can I work less and produce more, in a sense, which just makes sense. I mean, that's an entrepreneurial mind, that's an entrepreneurial spirit, and that's kind of, I think, what we're all really striving towards in the end is getting all of our time back and making a shit ton of money while we're there.
100%. I mean, having that freedom, it's, people think about financial freedom. I'm like, it's not just about financial freedom. It's about essentially just freedom over your life where, you can dictate the terms, so to speak. And money's a big piece of that. You need to be able to pay your bills and pay for the things that you want to do. But, you can create that without having freedom though, because you can build a business where, that business revolves around you, and now you're stuck and you built your own prison really, by building yourself a job. And that's a big thing, people fall into that all the time when they strike out on their own. They start a business and they aren't really starting a business. They're they're building a job for themselves, but they just happen to own the company.
Exactly. I mean, that's just where entrepreneurship kind of thrives at that point is figuring out this, at least for me, that's the most fun part, figuring out the creativity behind it. It's like, how can we take this thing and this thing that aren't connected and make them connect in a way where I'm not giving myself another job to do it?
100%.
So let's talk about Scaredy Cat real quick. So you have this whole brand that you built out called the Scaredy Cat Guide, the Scaredy Cat Real Estate Investor, the Scaredy Cat Cryptocurrency Trader. How did that come to be? What is the Scaredy Cat Guide? Talk to us about that.
Well, I mean, it really is twofold. I mean, it all started based on a poor experience, to be honest with you. It started when, I'm sorry, I'm like multitasking now. My background is bothering me. I want to make it better.
Mitch just made $2,000 in cryptocurrency while on the call.
That's it. No, I swear I'm actually not trading crypto while we're on the call. Although I probably should be. In fact, you know what? If after we get off of this, if I look back and I miss some opportunities, I will definitely send some hate messages to you.
Oh, just invoice me. Just send me an invoice. I would have made $45,000 during this call.
So to go off topic for 1 minute, it's funny you mention that though, because I do enjoy helping people, and it's just like my phone will just get blown up nonstop. Even if it's just friends and whatnot. And I'm bad at setting priorities. Like I grew up in this environment where it's just like you just jump on everything. It's like everything's a fire drill, and it's something I've had to work my way away from. But what happens is, like, I can be sitting in front of my computer doing something with crypto, and my phone will go off, and it'll be like, whatever, one of our mutual friends or something, and I'll respond to that text or whatever, even if it isn't urgent, and take my attention away from what I was doing. And then, like, 5 minutes later, I look back up, and I'm like, oh, crap, I just missed my opportunity. And it's like, so, like, literally it'll cost me money. And I was like, all right, I got to settle down. Like, this is nuts. And, that's a bad enough habit to begin with. But then when you get to the point where a lot of people are reaching out to you because, I don't know, they look at you as an authority on topics, then it just really gets out of control. So It's been a good experience for me. And that's the thing, too. People need to understand, like, when you are building businesses and when you're, whatever it is, like when you're serving people and when you're investing, like, you're going to grow at a sheer force because the environment's going to dictate it. Like, it's just going to happen. Otherwise, you're not going to survive, or you're not going to have success. So I wish I could pivot faster, but I mean, I'm a stubborn Italian from New York, so I like to, apparently suffer first before I make changes.
Right.
But it's just something to keep in mind for sure. But
to me, it's like, I like to describe it as almost like trying to contain a forest fire. It's like you want the whole thing to catch on fire because that means you're doing well at that point. But at the same time, you don't want it so out of control that you can't even keep up with it.
That's actually a really good way to put it. And that's how I like it too. That's an abundance point of view, putting it that way, an optimistic point of view. Putting it that way. So no, I like that a lot actually. I'm gonna probably steal that.
Yeah, go for it, man. Just pay me like 10% royalty every time you use it, and we'll be good.
Trademark.
We'll offset that invoice that you send me.
Exactly, offset. It'll offset the gains you made from the crypto I paid you in.
Exactly.
See, winning. You didn't even know. You're like, what? Oh, this is a great idea.
Yeah, I just open up my wallet every day. I'm like, I think it went up. That's interesting.
But so I mean. So the Scaredy Cat Guide thing, basically, it's in tune with my investing style. Like I have this risk adverse type of investing style. Like I've gotten more aggressive over the years. Like, and it's funny, people are like, wait, you're not aggressive. Like, you invest in crypto and you do this and that. I'm like, it's all relative, and and that was growth. So my default setting is like the guy that is going to slap singles all day, and I'm not the guy that's going to hit the freaking 50x because I'm going to be selling the whole way up. So I'm the guy that's always going to make money, but, he's also never going to blow up really. So I'm fine with that because, I always make the baseball reference, I'm like Ichiro Suzuki, slapping singles to the Hall of Fame, like I'm not Barry Bonds, like it is what it is. But I have learned how to take my shots when it makes sense. And that's all about, the risk profile. And I always preach asymmetrical risk. So that's a big blueprint of Scaredy Cat Guide. Is basically, teaching people how to invest prudently, so they don't blow up and have that terrible experience. But also, when I bought my first property, and like I said, I didn't know anything about real estate investing. I didn't even know anything about buying a property. I bought a rental property before I bought my own home.
Sure.
Like I'd never closed on a property. I didn't. So I relied on my realtor. Yeah. So you know this experience. You're like,
yeah.
I have no idea what the frick's going on. So I relied on my realtor. I relied on the mortgage broker. And like in like the 11th hour, they both basically just went ghost. Like the title company didn't hit me up to let me know I needed to like wire them money. Like it was just so. The seller's agent was a freaking little bulldog. She got it done. So she literally carried the ball like over the goal line and got the deal done.
Wow.
And I just remember like walking out of that title company, like everyone stayed late. Luckily the lender was on the West Coast, so the lender was able to still get it done because they were still in business hours. But like I got to the title company at like 4:30 because like they were like, yeah, like we'll get it done. Like, and I left at 7:30 in the evening. So 2 hours after the title company usually closes their doors. And I remember walking out of the parking lot, and it was just me sitting at the table. Like, the seller was there with his agent, and I'm just sitting there like solo, like no idea what I'm doing. And I just walked out of that title office, 7:30. It was almost dark at that point. I'm by myself. I thought my realtor was going to be there. And I'm just angry. Like, the whole thing was a disaster. Like, the guy was nice enough to let me throw my belongings in the garage before we closed because I was like moving out the same day.
Right.
Of my apartment because I was going to crash at the spot for a couple months until the tenant was going to move in. So yeah, it was a hot mess. So the day just turned into a whole cluster. And I just remember walking out of that title office thinking like, this should probably be one of, if not the most, proud moment of my life at this point. And instead, all I felt was anger and frustration. And that's,
right.
I was like, you know what? No one's going to feel like this again. And that's how Scaredy Cat started, because that's when I wrote the book, Scaredy Cat to Investing in Real Estate, investing in rental properties. It was that moment. That was the catalyst. That was the trigger, that poor experience. And I was like, no one's going to walk out of their first deal feeling the way I feel right now. Like, it's not happening on my watch.
Right.
So that's when Scaredy Cat was born and the book was born. And then I wrote the book over the next 6 months. And I probably need to do a second edition because obviously that book's 4 years old now and my knowledge level is like 10x. It's still great, though. It's still a great starter blueprint. For anyone that's buying their first rental property, it is the layman's term newbie blueprint. It really is. But yeah, outside of that, the advanced strategies, you gotta level up. So maybe I'll write the advanced book at some time in the near future.
There you go. I love it. Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, my first book, I have it right here. You can already see it needs to be updated.
Yeah. I don't even know. Do I have a copy? I got everyone else's books right here to grab to show, but actually I do have a copy of mine. It's a miracle.
There you go. Look at that.
There you go. Wow. Investing in rental properties.
Right. Make sure you grab a copy, people.
Heck
Going to Amazon.
Yeah.
Look up Scaredy Cat. Look up Mitch Jaworski. Find him on there. Get yourself a copy because it's an awesome, awesome book. Dude, Mitch, you have like a full life, man. You've done all kinds of stuff. You've invested in just about everything there is to invest in.
And that's just the investing stories.
So when you're not investing, what do you like to do, Mitch?
I like to make money and have fun. So kidding aside, although that's true, like my fun is investing. Like I love investing. But outside of that, I like playing basketball. I try and get that in at least a few days a week. And try and at least get some exercise. And then outside of that, man, I just like getting together with my like-minded friends and just seeing how we can continue to just crush it.
Love it.
I love just networking and going to visit friends and family. And I'm blessed to have flexibility to do it. I'm going up to New York in a couple of weeks, see a bunch of friends and family. So it's just pretty cool. So yeah, that's really it. And and creating content. Like I get overwhelmed at times, but in the end, I'm a writer. I enjoy writing. I almost write a blog daily.
Right.
Whether it's real estate or crypto related, a lot of times it'll be crypto trading related. And I'm starting to post those more. So yeah, like people go to scaredycatguy.com. There's a real estate blog. There's a crypto blog. I'm trying to get more consistent about putting the crypto information on there because I do post that elsewhere on a social media crypto site. So yeah, I enjoy creating content and doing some trading here and there. Outside of the social stuff, like playing ball and visiting friends and whatnot.
So most people don't know this. You mentioned basketball. How tall are you, Mitch?
I am 6'4".
Nice. 6'4". I didn't even know it because he's always – the only time I've ever seen Mitch is when he's sitting down in his computer chair. And then I saw him in a picture with somebody else, and I was like, something's not right here. Something's going on.
I'm really not that tall. Y'all are just short.
It's funny because I'm 6'2", so I'm used to being the tallest person in the room.
Well, and then I see October, buddy.
Yeah, right. And then I see you, and I'm like, okay, now it makes sense why Mitch plays basketball. Because I was thinking you were like, I don't know, 5'9", 5'10", like that's average height.
Yeah, no, I can see why that makes sense. And the funny part is like, even if you would have met me in person at first, when I'm sitting down, no one thinks I'm as tall as I am because like I don't know. I guess I sit like on the edge of the seat, like kind of slouched, like lounging, aka bad posture. But yeah, I always surprise people when I stand up if like they haven't seen me already standing up. Yeah, it's funny with the Zoom land and
right.
Video calls. You have no idea how tall people are. It's like a lot of people's personas are bigger than their actual physical stature.
Yeah. I met one of my mentors in person. And I only knew him through phone calls, and he was like 5'8", and I'm like, oh, hi. So it was funny. My whole life, I got to tell you this story. My whole life, everybody's like, dude, you should play basketball because I grew up tall, obviously.
Yeah.
I am so bad at basketball. Like you would think that I have some sort of like deficiency if you saw me try to dribble and run at the same time. It's so bad. It's so bad. So now I just own that I suck at basketball. And I just play people from that place of like, I'm terrible at this. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, just because you're tall doesn't mean you're supposed to play basketball.
Exactly.
So, just like there's so many things. Just funny, but no, I hear you. So I'm like that with baseball. I am horrible at baseball. Like it just doesn't work. So luckily basketball worked out for me. But it's at this point it's just exercise. I've let go of the competitive spirit a bit because I'm no spring chicken, and trying to compete with 25-year-olds on the basketball court is not as easy as it used to be.
Yeah, right. I had another friend of mine who's a really big real estate investor that's a basketball guy. And it's funny because he's shorter. He's, 5'6", 5'7", stuff like that. But he says the same thing. He's like, dude, I go to the gym now, and there's like, 10 or 11, 19-year-olds in there. And I'm like just smoking them on the basketball court.
I love it. Yeah, I remember those days. I was doing that until like early 30s. Like didn't matter what age you were. Like let's do this. And then when I hit 35 is when I started getting injuries and I started slowing down. And now like I'm a shadow of what I was on the basketball court. Now it's like straight old man game.
I've had old man game my whole life, and I haven't even hit 30 yet.
There you go. I love it. As long as you're having fun, that's all that matters.
Exactly. For me, it's martial arts, jiu-jitsu, that kind of stuff. That's where I look coordinated again. It's weird.
Yeah, don't bring me in a dojo. That'd just be a hot mess.
Yeah. I mean, it's to each their own, and that's kind of the fun thing about entrepreneurship. It's the fun thing about make money and have fun, which we can't even see. There it is. Make money and have fun. It's the best. So, Mitch, let's wrap it up here. Last point I want to bring up is talking about people, talking about community. You're a member of my mastermind. We're in there every week, slicing it up, dicing it up with groups of people. What are your thoughts on just building a band of brothers, a community, just people that have your back?
Yeah, I mean, the saying that's become cliche at this point is, your net worth is equal to your network.
Yep.
It's really true, and I speak from experience because like I was a lone wolf. People do not believe this, but I'm actually an introvert. Like I have the tests to prove it. So I wasn't a fan of networking, and it took me a long time to open up and embrace that. And my only regret is I didn't do it sooner because, just from networking, it helps so much push forward. But then when you focus that and you do, like, you have, whether, it's a band of brothers or whether it's, a specific like mentorship or mastermind or whatever it is, like, a group of successful, like-minded people, that just, it adds fuel to the fire, but it does so many specific things. And like, even if at a bare minimum, it just created accountability, where you basically just had what do they call it? Accountability buddies, like, right? Even if you just got that.
Is that actually a thing? I hope
you heard that. Accountability buddy or whatever. Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah. But anyway, accountability buddy. So even if you just got that from like a mastermind, that alone would have a enormous positive impact, right? Because the bottom line is, it doesn't matter how self-aware you are and how self-disciplined you are. Doesn't matter. You're still inside. You have the inside view. You're not seeing the third-party objective, right? And that person also doesn't have the emotional ties that you do to your stuff. So that third-party point of view is always going to be able to give you objective advice, and always going to be able to, hold you accountable, and that's just, and that works too. Like, we don't want to look like we effed up. So if like we have someone hold us accountable for something, then we are motivated to get that shit done. So just from that alone, having that band of brothers, is huge. Or, whether, it's even just getting it by joining a mentorship, and, also leveling up, like, well, how can I be around people that are doing something I want to do, or maybe are doing what I do, but they're at a higher level? Well, be around those people. And if there's, if that's as simple as just signing up for like a mastermind to do that, then that's awesome. Otherwise you got to do it the old school way and go network the shit out of it until you find something, right? So,
there's so many ways.
It's like a hack. It's like, wait, I know where these people are. Let me just sign up.
Exactly.
So that's a big way I look at that now. But yeah, you can. What does it say? You can move. You can move fast by yourself, but you can.
You can move far with others.
With others, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so true. You're never going to grow big on your own.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, one of the realizations that I came to the other day, which is a simplification of this idea of people, is that every time there's new taxes written, there's new tax loopholes. But many of the tax loopholes involve more than one person. So,
yes,
you need to have sometimes multiple people to make something happen financially or investor-wise or business-wise or whatever, to make stuff happen so that you can kind of maneuver through this world in a strategic and way, designed to come out on top on the other side, in a sense. Yeah. And so, little things like that, but then even amplifying it, like you said, joining the mastermind, going out and networking, jumping into mentorships, or even just becoming friends with coaches, with mentors and other successful people who you look up to and you want to emulate and model. Like you said, it's going to get you there so much further. And I would even say quicker with the people behind you as well.
Yeah, because I mean, and this level style, like, think about it, like reading books, like we both read books all the time.
Sure.
Like, books are awesome because what it is, it's an insight to essentially that person's mind. It's like, it's all right, I'm not going to meet this person or get a conversation, but if I read that book, I can get the information in regards to what I'm going to ask them anyway, right? But even it's even that, like, that's better than doing nothing, but that's still slower than, actually being a part of a group of people that are doing it, right? So it's all about how you can level up. So, books are great. It's like, hey, I can learn this on my own, so to speak. And, I think everyone should read books. We do. We continue to grow our knowledge base. But, it's like, well, how do I speed this up even further? Oh, I can actually be in a room with these people? Okay. Let me look into that.
Yeah, I think, it's levels of value. Like, a book is very valuable, but I'd say it's the lowest level of value. And then going up from there is like networking, and then joining a mentorship, and then joining a school, and then hiring a coach. And then I would even say like the highest level is probably like getting involved in a high level mastermind or something where you're sitting literally at a table or a virtual table with just power players. I mean, just people who are crushing life, and you're sitting in that room with them and you're like, do I deserve to be here? Like when you're there, you're like, I made it. Something's happening.
And, and that feeling is good though, because I always tell people, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to go find another room.
Yep. Exactly. Mitch, this has been awesome, dude. So before we go, what are your parting words, your words of wisdom, your last parting pieces of advice that you would want to say to our audience today before we part ways.
Wow. I don't know.
Stage is yours. Take it, brother.
Just do it. I'll just start using like taglines from businesses. Yeah, I mean, bottom line is, if you want to make a change in life, or if you're looking to build a business, I mean, action. You got to just take that first step and action. And then after you take that first step, you got to continue to take action. So that's the biggest thing between the people I see that are, the performers against the pretenders, is the people that take action. You can educate all you want. You could hit me up. I can coach up the crap out of you in cryptocurrency or in real estate. But if you don't take action with that information, then it's useless. I mean, you're basically sitting on the sideline. Like you gotta jump in the game. So get educated, but then take action, because in the end, experience is the best teacher. Learn as much as you can from others and from their experiences, but you got to have experience for yourself as well. And that's really what, sets that education and that knowledge in stone, is going through the experience of it as well. So take action.
I love that. And Mitch, I need to applaud you. We went through this whole entire podcast today, and you didn't quote one rapper. What's going on? Are you sick or something? What's happening?
Nothing came up for me to quote a lyric. So, I don't force it. I do it when it comes naturally. It just happens to come naturally a lot. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
Although I almost said it earlier, because I talked about, ambitiously lazy and then collecting. So, our mutual friend always makes me say it: organize and collect. And that is actually stolen from a rapper. So, what it is about building businesses: you organize it all, and then after that, you just collect.
There you go.
Rental properties,
there you go.
Organize that rental portfolio, and then you collect.
See, it's not an official meeting with the Crypto Cat until he has dropped some rapper knowledge on you at the end. Mitch, thanks so much for being here, man. This was awesome. Did you have fun?
I'll always have fun.
I love it, man. Thanks so much for tuning in with us, guys. Oh, Mike Shine's still here. He said, I missed a part of the interview. Did Mitch tell you about being in Tower 2 on 9/11? Amazing story. So, Mike, we didn't get there today. I don't know if we're going to have time for it. We might need to bring Mitch back for a second one to do a little bit more of a personal story.
Yeah, that's a personal story. I loosely referenced it in a job transition, but yeah, we weren't getting into that. That's a whole podcast.
Yeah, we'll do another one. In fact, we might even have Mike Shine and Mitch on here at the same time. See if I can wrangle those cats together.
My brother from another mother.
There you go. I love it. Mitch, thanks so much for being here. You are the man. To everybody tuning in, we will see you again next time. And remember to always go make money and have fun. See you guys.